Good afternoon, everyone. I am excited to welcome you all to the final webinar of our 4BlueNJ and NJDOC Workplace Wellness Webinar Series. I'm Jess Correa, a mental health specialist and wellness specialist at Rutgers University Behavioral Healthcare. 4BlueNJ is a peer support program and helpline that works to support corrections officers and all correctional facility staff. We are honored to partner with the NJDOC and to show our appreciation for the incredible work they do. Throughout our webinar, you'll be hearing from our 4BlueNJ program director and our peers. And we hope to hear from you as well throughout the webinar. We will be recording this webinar for those who are unable to attend. Even if your camera is on, your picture will not be displayed in the recording. However, if you feel more comfortable being off camera or changing your name, we'll give you a minute to do so before we go ahead and start. We are honored to also be collaborating with Willie Bonds, Acting Deputy Commissioner from the NJDOC, who has been working closely with our program to promote this webinar series and to find different ways to support corrections officers throughout the state. I'll now be handing it over to Willie Bonds.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Willie Bonds, the Acting Deputy Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Corrections. We are happy to be hosting our first NJDOC 4BlueNJ Workforce Wellness Series. Thank you to you all who have taken the time to join us today to support this important and impactful initiative. Please use the chat feature to introduce yourself and your facility. We have designed this webinar to learn more about each and every one of you and how the 4BlueNJ program can better support our effort to improve employee physical, emotional, and mental health. Being a longtime DOC employee with both custody and civilian experience, I understand the complexities and the challenges of working in a correctional setting and the importance of employee wellness. It is why I am especially pleased to begin our webinar with an introduction from the 4BlueNJ team. I will now turn it over to Cherie Castellano.
Welcome to the 4BlueNJ Wellness Webinar. I'm so excited to be part of the team. In terms of our team, my name's Cherie Castellano, as mentioned. I'm the director of the Rutgers National Center for Peer Support, and I'm joined by our amazing supervising mental health specialist and wellness guru, Jess Correa, and our two peer support specialists at 4BlueNJ, Angela Hinton and Kelly Perkins. So excited to be with you all today. The 4BlueNJ DOC Workplace Wellness Webinar Series has been going on now for the last few months. What we find is that we're building on the skills of resilience in order to help you be stronger as staff at the New Jersey Department of Corrections. So at Rutgers, we've had a National Center for Peer Support for almost 20 years. We target those populations that are high risk for stress and trauma. We try to create access as a focus. We think about cultural and strength-based approaches to peer support. We have peers and clinicians working together. And after almost 20 years of peer support, we have several programs and hundreds of peers. And we're honored to say we've been identified as a national best practice in peer support. We've come to understand over the last 20 years that peer support is really prevention, intervention, and postvention. And we're excited about our 4BlueNJ peer support program. For those of you who don't know, our focus is to support all New Jersey Corrections employees, both active and retired, and their families through peer support. By dialing 1-888-425-8365, you'll receive a variety of services to foster your wellness and provide support when you are in need. The mission of our program is to use peer support to engage people to be more resilient in order to help them in times of need. Our peers are retired corrections officers and clinicians who understand the challenges you face every day on the job. Our services include prevention, peer support, like our webinars that we're doing today, and QPR for corrections officers, and resilience training. The intervention that we do is our corrections peer support telehealth, which is when you call our telephone line and you're assigned a peer who does ongoing peer counseling. We can do clinical assessments. We make referrals to culturally competent providers, and we have resources for whatever you need. We also join the New Jersey Department of Corrections psychological first aid effort. And although you have your own critical incident stress management team, we're available to provide additional support after traumatic incidents. What we know about resiliency in all of our models at 4BlueNJ is that they should be evidence-based, that research should prove that these models are effective. And the model we're using is the UPenn Resiliency Skill Set, which is an evidence-based model. And today we're talking about mental agility, the ability to look at situations from multiple perspectives and to think creatively and flexibly. Mental agility is the ability to look at situations from multiple perspectives. When you think creatively and flexibly, it's something that you will use every day at the Department of Corrections. You might use your mental agility in fighting with challenges, not against them, bouncing back from incidents that you're exposed from, and really thinking about how you can use whatever challenges you have to build your resilience rather than to deplete you. What we know now is that the Department of Corrections is doing so much to foster wellness, officer wellness, build team morale, with several activities around culturally creating a positive morale in the agency. One of the things that we found in our research was there are 10 ways to boost morale in corrections, according to an article we found. And one of them is consistency, have the same work expectations for all staff. 2 is to back each other up, which you do inherently, but to do it both for morale as well as the job. Help when you can, regardless of your rank. Respect, point out the positives, not just the negatives of your peers. Communicate decisions so everyone feels included. Show appreciation for each other. Keep the expectations for professionalism high. Encourage the staff to use their time off to decompress from the job. Get together with staff for fun activities like walking or hiking or socializing. And don't dismiss the ideas of others. I think the idea of boosting morale is that it's very important in terms of mental agility to be able to control your reactions, but also to feel safe in your environment and supported in your environment. And that's why we're tying this morale concept into mental agility.
We created this webinar series based on the University of Pennsylvania Resiliency Model, which encompasses a set of skills extensively backed by research, which build cognitive and emotional fitness, strength of character, and strong relationships. Each one of our webinars have focused on a different resiliency skill. Today's focus will be optimism and strengths of character. For almost 30 years, the UPenn model of resilience has been utilized by the U.S. Army, Pennsylvania State Police, the United States Department of Justice, and several major universities, as well as primary and secondary schools and foreign governments. Studies have indicated that this approach increases well-being and optimism, reduces and prevents depression, anxiety, and conduct problems, improves physical health, and results in fewer mental health diagnoses, and in one study, fewer substance abuse diagnoses. The 4BlueNJ program has adapted the skills presented in the UPenn model to give you a broad but basic introduction to corrections officers and to give practical ways for you to utilize them in your daily lives. Today's webinar will highlight optimism and strengths of character. We'll first focus on optimism, which is the ability to notice and expect the positive, to focus on what you can control, and to take purposeful action. Optimism in the workplace, especially in corrections, can have its challenges. As correctional staff, some shifts will undoubtedly have their challenges. When things don't go as planned, or you feel like you're losing control of a situation, it's important to be realistic. Take the time to assess those situations and think of better ways to handle them in the future. Taking the initiative to see the best in situations and point out the positives of the day can impact your mood and mindset. Having a positive mindset can help you bounce back from a tough situation. We're now going to hear from Anthony Ganji, who has 18 years of corrections experience, as well as Russ Hamilton, a retired corrections sergeant. They will be discussing how important having a positive mindset can be, especially while working in corrections.
Okay, Russ, so you came up with this topic today, which is basically having the right mindset. So where did this topic come from and why do you think it's important?
Well, I just started out, I wanted to pick a topic. And one of the things that, always bothered me was some of the officers and things that you work with and stuff, really, their mindset, it's not right. It's non-existent, if you will. And the way that, I like to put it to Anthony a few minutes ago and stuff is this, right? Are you going to happen to your shift, or is your shift going to happen to you? And what I mean by that is are you going to go in there? Are you going to, be in the forefront of doing things that are preemptive, proactive, and, really try and set the tone for everything that's going on in the day? or you just kind of, observe, report, respond, and kind of let things pass you by to where you're trying to catch up. And, I think I always make that case for, for preempting things, for being proactive, for being out there ahead of the game, for, trying to have that mental mindset where you're trying to think, what am I going to do in this shift? How am I going to set the tone? What should I be doing this shift? And so I just want to go over some of the things, the way I approach it, the way I got things done, the way I tried to be in that proactive mindset, stopping things before they start.
I think that's the key too, because right now I think that's the curse of corrections right now, especially when we have a lot of people in management that aren't proactive, they're reactive. And I think having that proactive mindset is what prevents, in this profession, preventing, being proactive is what saves lives. So it's actually very important that you do have that proactive mindset. What can I do to set the tone for the day? And I think that when you go in with that proactive mindset, that mindset to prevent, that's when we wind up being the most effective, because being reactionary is pretty much waiting for the other person to make their move. And in corrections, you can't do that. You got to be the one to make the move, because at all times you are the one that's in control. So right off the bat, Russ, can we explore being proactive, being preventive?
Absolutely. So this is what I'll tell you. The way that I approach things was this: is I would kind of try and decide what my day was going to consist of. Not everyone has that luxury. Sometimes maybe you're stuck in culinary and there's a limit to what you can do. I always tried to be in that position in my career where, I was the one to take the bull by the horns, decide what I wanted to do. And so, it might begin with, I'm deciding that, okay, today I'm going to do contraband. And so in order to get myself in the right mindset, I have to decide, okay, what is going to be the most productive thing for me to do? So what I would do is I would look, back through the past, 10, 15, 30 days of who was getting write-ups, what they were getting written up for, what type of contraband other people were finding. And I try and use that as my guide. Maybe, I should be going to, fishing hole A or fishing hole B, and just trying to figure out how I'm going to set that tone. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, try and figure out, what my STGs are doing out there, who's been assigned to bird dog me for that day. How can I beat that individual at their own game? How can I pull some other people into this? Get some people out there that have the same proactive mindset. They want to be go-getters, and try and come up with a strategy, plans, some tactics for attacking that. And so that's the way I would start each day. Now, a lot of times you get sidetracked from that because other things happen. Sometimes you'll have fights. Sometimes, you might have an escape attempt, that kind of thing. And those things matter. But what I'm talking about here is the part where you actually get to set the tone. You get to pick what your particular activity is going to be for the day. And then you go forth and you try and produce based on what you think you should be doing.
I'll now be passing it over to our peer Angela to hear her thoughts on the video and more about her experience with optimism while working in corrections.
Thank you, Jess. Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Hinton, a retired correctional police sergeant of 25 years from Northern State Prison, and I am currently a peer counselor with 4Blue, New Jersey. Mr. Ganji's point about having the right mindset when going into the prison is very important. I totally agree. Going in with a negative attitude can be the cause of a horrible shift. You'll be uncooperative and unwilling to do what's best for the job. This is unfair to everyone. Leave home at home when you come to work and vice versa. As Russ stated, don't let the shift happen to you. If this happens, you can become overwhelmed because you didn't have the right mindset to start. My experience with optimism helped me throughout my career. It helped me to see my career to the end. I initially did not want to work this job for more than 5 years. I started to see all the different avenues that I had within the institution, learning new jobs, teaching my fellow officers, and then eventually leading them when I became sergeant. My optimism got me through it all. Some challenges faced with optimism were that not everyone aspired to be greater and wanted to remain stuck in the same job for their whole career. This was at times disheartening when you wanted more for a person than they did. I'll now be passing it over to my fellow peer, Kelly.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Hello, everyone. I'm retired Correctional Police Lieutenant Kelly Perkins. I retired out of Mid-State Correctional Facility after 28 years of experience at 7 different facilities, and I am currently a peer counselor with 4BlueNJ. In Mr. Ganji's Tier Talk video, excellent points are made about being proactive and preventive in corrections. As an officer, doing thorough cell searches, area searches, and unit tours on a regular basis was my most practical way of deterring contraband, promoting safety, and having a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. After starting my career in 1990, having a break in service in 1995, and returning to corrections in 1998, I can truly say that optimism was a driving force for me. Recognizing the various career development opportunities offered by the NJDOC, including opportunities to work within specialized units, kept me hopeful. Upward mobility motivated me too. Optimism helped me to believe in my own potential, to set realistic goals for myself, and to achieve those goals. Sometimes work-related stressors made it difficult to remain optimistic, but choosing gratitude in the face of these challenges bolstered my resilience. I will now be passing it over to Jess so we can become more familiar with optimism.
Thank you both so much for sharing. Let's take a few minutes to reflect on our personal experiences and optimism. While I read through the questions on the screen, take a moment to think about your answers. While answering each question, think of the details that you may have felt in those moments. What makes you happy? When do you feel joyful? In these moments, who are you with? And what are you doing? Take a few more seconds to think about the details of those moments. Optimism at work and optimism in your personal life can look a little different. Try scheduling moments of optimism or pockets of peace. While at work, take a few moments in your car before or after your shift and focus on some of positives of the day. Or listen to your favorite song. Take the time to do something you enjoy. Or reflect back on those questions that we just went over and think about those happy moments that you've had in the past. Optimism can be used as preventative or as an intervention to ensure you're recharging throughout your day. If something in your personal life doesn't go as planned, take a moment to recharge by picturing yourself in the happiest place you can think of. Close your eyes for a few seconds and just enjoy the moment. Creating a positive environment can be hard and may take some getting used to. When you find yourself feeling pessimistic, think about who you're surrounding yourself with. The people you surround yourself with are part of your environment. Consider how much time you spend with people who are experiencing negative cycles. Is there anything you can do in those moments to try your best to stay positive? Some ways to set your environment up for success and optimism are to post affirmation, to write something positive on a Post-it note for a coworker, to send a positive text message to someone, or to say 3 things that you like about yourself, either aloud or in your head. Positive affirmations are a great way to increase optimism. Journaling can also enhance your optimism. Using a journal before bed to write down things you're grateful for or to reflect on positive moments of the day can become a healthy habit that will lead to increased positivity. Setting reminders in your phone is another great tactic to use. For example, set a reminder every morning that says something inspirational, like "I got this" or "today is a fresh start." Have these positive reminders pop up throughout the day, and this is a great way to promote positivity. Filling your space with things that you like is another great way to create a positive environment. Although this one may be harder at work, but don't let that discourage you from implementing this in your personal life. You can make your car an enjoyable environment by adding air fresheners, or make your home positive by incorporating photos that elicit positive memories when looked at. These tips can be instrumental in setting up your environment for success throughout the day. Another way to boost optimism is by engaging in small acts of kindness. This can be something simple like complimenting a stranger, visiting a loved one, or sharing your lunch with someone. We have the power to create a positive or negative cycle within each moment. Our actions matter. What is one small act of kindness you can do today? Feel free to share your answers with us in the chat as we move on to a video of a corrections officer helping out a stranger.
Yeah, Auburn Correctional Facility and Auburn Police Department want to get your groceries here. This is our annual random acts of kindness. Okay. No, it's all right.
I like limited my order to like $2 an item.
Oh, no. Yeah, we'll take care of this one, okay? All right, is that good? That's okay.
Thank you. I just got diagnosed with
Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry. Well, hopefully this helps a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I wish I could have. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, you're welcome.
My stepbrother who passed away, he retired from the prison.
Oh, no kidding.
Greg Driscoll. I don't know if anybody remembers Greg. He's older now, but yes. So thank you
Oh, you're
guys
welcome.
very much. Everybody have a happy holiday.
You too. You too.
You know, if you celebrate Christmas, have a great Christmas.
Yeah, you too. Thank
Whatever.
you very much.
Thank you. I don't want to. Thank
Okay.
you.
You have a good
Thank
day.
you. Thank you.
As you saw in the video, after this officer's act of kindness, this woman's mood completely changed. An act of kindness can cause a positive chain reaction and encourage the recipient of the act to then do something positive for someone else. Ultimately, optimism can help us stay resilient during stressful situations. Optimism is not about ignoring the negative, yet shifting our perspective as a way to empower yourself. Taking action and being optimistic when experiencing high levels of stress or other negative emotions can feel difficult. In order to experience optimism, we must gift ourselves perspective by grounding ourselves in the present moment. And to do this, we can use self-regulation and mental agility tactics, as we've mentioned in our previous webinars. Being optimistic takes practice. It is human nature to always think about the worst case scenario or to think about the negative. It is in our bodies, and it's our way of keeping our bodies safe. We must actively make optimism a daily habit. The first step is to always be self-aware. Think to yourself, when was the last time you experienced a negative thought? For most of us, we experience negative thoughts every day. Taking notice of these thoughts is a great first step in changing our mindset. Now let's shift our focus to our next resiliency skill set, which is strengths of character. Strengths of character is the ability to use one's top strength to engage, authentically overcome challenges, and create a life aligned with one's values. Character is made up of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. There are many different strengths that can make up your character. Take a look at the screen and pick one or two strengths that you feel best represent you. I'll now be passing it over to our peer Angela to hear about her strengths and how they've impacted her while working in corrections.
Thank you, Jess. I would identify leadership and teamwork as my strength of character. These two characteristics definitely go hand in hand. In order to have effective leadership, you need to have a great team that are willing to work together despite some differences to get the job done in a timely and professional manner. Some challenges with this are that everyone may not have the right mindset to come together as a team to work together. This can be ineffective for a leader to lead a team with this type of mindset. This would then require the leader to make the decision to replace that person with someone that will be willing to work with everyone. I'll now be passing it over to my fellow peer, Kelly.
Thank you, Angela. My top strength of character is spirituality, or my faith. Gratitude and forgiveness are other strengths of character that come from my faith. I was grateful to have a well-paying career with good benefits, for being promoted to the rank of lieutenant, for working with so many talented people, and most importantly, for my family. Counting my blessings increased my gratitude. Over the years, I also faced my share of challenges. It was not easy, but I learned to accept the reality of my own limitations and the limitations of others. Our badges, uniforms, ranks, and titles did not empower us to control all circumstances, every outcome, or the reactions of others. I learned to deliberately focus on all that we could accomplish together as a team and to let go or forgive all that was beyond our control. Being grateful and acknowledging the successful completion of every task, no matter how seemingly small, enhanced my resilience.
Thank you both so much for sharing with us. Recognizing your strengths enhances your well-being and self-acceptance and promotes greater happiness. It can improve your mental health, create positive work experiences, and make you an efficient problem solver. Our strengths can be broken into 6 different virtues: wisdom, courage, humanity, transcendence, justice, and moderation. Reflect back on which strengths stood out to you and take a look at which virtue they belong to. The first virtue is virtue of wisdom. The more curious and creative we allow ourselves to become, the more we gain perspective and wisdom, and will, in turn, love what we are learning. This is developing the virtue of wisdom and knowledge. Next is the virtue of courage. The braver and more persistent we become, the more our integrity will increase because we will reach a state of feeling vital. And this results in being more courageous in character. The third is the virtue of humanity. There is a reason why Oprah Winfrey is seen as a symbol of virtue for humanitarians. On every show, she approaches her guests with respect, appreciation, and interest. She practices kindness through her charity work, and she shows love to her friends and family. The fourth is virtue of justice. Mahatma Gandhi can be considered a symbol of justice. He was the leader of the Indian independence movement in British ruled India. He led India to independence and helped create movements for civil rights and freedom by being an active citizen and nonviolent disobedience. His work has been applied worldwide. The fifth is virtue of moderation. Being forgiving, merciful, humble, prudent, and in control of our behaviors and instincts prevents us from being arrogant, selfish, or any other trait that is excessive or unbalanced. And lastly, we have the virtue of transcendence. The Dalai Lama is a transcendent being who speaks openly why he never loses hope in humanity's potential. He also appreciates nature and its perfection and lives according to what he believes is his intended purpose. Take a moment to reflect on the meaning of your virtue and see how it reflects to your character. Recognizing your strengths can also help to build your resilience. Focusing on your strengths is not about ignoring the negative. Helping us overcome life's adversities, building our resilience. You cannot be brave without first feeling fear. You cannot show perseverance without first wanting to quit. And you cannot show self-control without first being tempted. We are in control of how we respond to each emotion that we feel. Now that we've learned about our strengths and virtues, we'd love to hear from you. Share with us in the chat, what is your strength or your top 2 strengths? Mine are creativity and self-regulation. Keep those answers coming as we move on to some of our final thoughts. Let's take a look at the benefits of the 2 skill sets we went over today. Optimism can encourage you. Notice good things as they happen. Don't blame yourself when things go wrong. Optimists are typically healthier, more resilient, and not as stressed when bad things happen. Knowing your character and strengths can encourage you to never stop trying to learn new things about yourself. It allows you to take notice of your feelings, interactions, and reactions. And it allows you to know your strengths that can lead you to success in your personal life and your work life. That is it for our webinar. Thank you all so much for joining us for our last webinar of the Workplace Wellness webinar series. As a reminder, all previous webinars can be found on our website at 4BlueNJ.com. And as always, feel free to give us a call on our helpline at 1-888-425-8365 if you have any questions. Have a great day, everyone. We hope to see you next time.